Somewhere high in the forbidding Pamir Mountains of Tajikistan, altitude 12,000 feet, temperature 10 below zero.
Just spent the night on the side of a mountain in Tajikistan. My good friend Hamrakul. You can see out there, most beautiful place in the world to get stranded for a night.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're freezing to death. It's about 6:30 in the morning. These are other folks that have been stuck, although they made it up to the top.
Pelton's guide Hamrakul decides to turn back, but Pelton presses on. After hiking 10 miles, he hitches a ride on a potato truck. At Dushanbe, a train has arrived, packed with refugees from the Taliban war against Massoud. Without a ticket or visa, Pelton stows aboard for its trip back to Afghanistan. He's in alien territory, but without knowing a word of Russian, somehow, Pelton speaks their language. When the train arrives at the border town of Termiz, he finds he's too late. The Taliban have sealed off the border to Afghanistan. No one can cross. Pelton has a grim choice: leave now or wind up in prison.
Within a mile of the Afghan border, closer than I had ever come to reaching Massoud, I had to turn back. Twice I'd tried to reach the man and failed, but I didn't give up.
Six months later, Robert Young Pelton sets out on a secret route to reach Ahmed Shah Massoud. His two failures have only whetted his appetite for a third go-for-broke attempt. This time, he has an ambitious new plan. Again, he will attempt to enter Afghanistan the back way, through the former Soviet republics. But he has learned he can't do it alone. He needs the right connections. So along with filmmaker David Keane, he has enlisted Peter Juvenal. Peter is a veteran war cameraman who has known Massoud since 1985. Covering the Afghan-Soviet War, Peter secretly entered Afghanistan on foot 72 times. At the Tashkent airport, as arranged, their driver is waiting. He is to take them from Uzbekistan across the border to Tajikistan.
Can we cross the border without a visa?
Okay. You have Uzbek visa?
Yeah.
No problem.
The two most dangerous words in travel: no problem.
For Pelton, no problem turns into a big problem, because suddenly, when he tries to cross the border into Tajikistan, the officials refuse entry.
So what's the $10 for? It's for bakshish. Bakshish? Why?
Bakshish, international slang for bribe. Quickly, the $10 escalates to $100.
So what about this one? What are we gonna do
As
now?
part of the deal, they must leave their own driver behind and take a driver designated by the corrupt official. They cross a no-man's land of 100 yards, where desperate refugees wait to enter Uzbekistan.
So this is Tajikistan here?
Yeah.
At the checkpoint, on the Tajikistan side, They also want bribes. Peter is the only one who knows enough Russian to negotiate. At first, it's touch and go. With a hidden camera, they film the age-old ritual of bribery. The Tajik guards are not as forgiving as the Uzbeks. If Pelton and his friends are caught filming, they will be thrown in jail or shot as spies.
They put $116 in my passport and then gave it with another passport to one of the customs officials. Took me into a little side room and put the $100 bill in his pocket and then kept the 16, I guess, for his mates. He said, that will do nicely, thanks. And then shook my hand so everybody could see. I guess that was a signal, and away we went.
At last, entering Tajikistan, they reached the town of Dushanbe. There, they meet up with their key contact, a mysterious figure known by the alias of General Muslim. Muslim is Massoud's contact man in Dushanbe, a formidable warrior whom Peter covered fighting the Soviets. He says he'll try to get them visas into Afghanistan.
Okay, so I'll give you 400 for everybody, and then get the most visa for the money. So if you can get for the same price, you can get double entry.
General Muslim pulls the right strings. They get their visas. At the hotel, they meet up with their interpreter, Hanif, a master of 5 languages. Suddenly, they get word. They are to leave on a secret flight that officially does not exist. In the shadowy world, these clandestine flights are the lifeline of Massoud's beleaguered forces, bringing desperately needed arms and ammunition. The day of departure, they see a colorful graduation festival. For Pelton, it holds a deeper meaning. The women smiling in public, the music, the dancing, are all reminders of what he will be leaving behind when he enters Afghanistan.
About to board a Russian helicopter for a fairly hair-raising flight into Talokan. And the reason people are taking pictures is probably the last remembrance they'll have of their friends. Why don't you watch this? Oh, excuse me. Thank you very much.
The passengers are tense, for good reason. A few days ago, on the same flight, Taliban MiGs tried to shoot this chopper down. At last, they land at Talokan, just 9 miles from the front lines with the Taliban.
We're in Talokan right now, which is the main supply base for the Northern Alliance. We're a little deaf from flying in a old Russian helicopter.
Talokan, Massoud's headquarters, an isolated enclave where Massoud has come to make his last stand. Few outsiders have ever set foot here. It seems as if Pelton's goal of meeting Massoud is at last within his grasp. Talokan, in the war-torn north of Afghanistan. At first glance, this remote market town hasn't changed in 1,000 years. Beneath its picturesque surface, Talokan is one of the world's most dangerous places, a last stronghold for resistance against the Taliban. Command post of the legendary warrior Ahmed Shah Massoud, the man Robert Young Pelton has risked his life to meet. Signs of war appear in unexpected places. In the market, along with the fruits and vegetables, are bomb fragments for sale.
This is from a cluster bomb. Holds the cluster bombs into the bomb, and then the little bomblets drop out.
This is good.
Breaks up.
This is the tail end of a rocket.
RPG, yeah. Stabilizer.
That looks like a landing gear.
The scrap aluminum from bombs might be hammered into something as harmless as a teapot. Nearby, Masood's men kill time watching traditional Afghan wrestling. They bet on the fighters, amateurs from among their ranks. Still more young men pour down from the farm country in the hills to join Masood's forces. They have experienced the Taliban's harsh, scorched earth rule and want to fight back.
This is a training camp for new recruits for the Northern Alliance. They're going through some of the basic military drills they need when they go out to the front lines.
Many are barefoot and without guns. They will earn only $25 a month and endure meager rations. But they have come to follow Masood into battle to defend their homes from the Taliban onslaught. Seeing the devotion of Masood's men only increases Pelton's resolve to meet him.
It's hard to imagine war in a place like this.
He confers with Masood's commanders to try to arrange it.
So
The commanders say Masood wants Pelton to visit his men on the front lines before he will meet with him, a test perhaps of Pelton's commitment.
okay.
His escort will be Commander Daoud, himself a legendary fighter against the Taliban.
Heavy fighting broke out, took place in this area. We call this the graveyard of the Taliban.
Commander Daoud accompanies Pelton to visit Masood's men on the front lines. To avoid the threat of Taliban tank fire, they leave the main road. Even here, on the front lines, the brutal business of war stops at the time for prayer. Islam dictates that they pray 5 times a day, facing towards Mecca.